Good morning, everybody. 3 sessions we have had, right? Isn't it exciting? Internet, cloud, services that you subscribe, pay as we go. I see some very, very big numbers there. ERP that causes millions of dollars and months to implement. Now, I'm sure the topic goes back to all of us here, right? What does it mean to us as business owner? What does it mean to us as the smaller boys, so to speak? And we talk about how do we have big presence. So I just coined the whole thing together on a simple topic. How about building a castle on the cloud? What does it mean? So welcome again, I have Mr. Fong, right? And Aimi, right? Reg, right? So I'm just going to carry this through before I open up to the floor on that little topic, yeah, building a castle on the cloud. Now, I just start with the fundamental. Maybe I have this direct to Mr. Fong first, right? Disruptive technology, yeah. Internet is disruptive, cloud is disruptive. How can SME survive in this era where the technology really comes at us at 300 kilometers per hour? Mr. Fong.
Yeah, the internet actually, the technologies that available actually is advantageous to the SME. I think the Rich has talked about is actually leveling the playing field for the smaller guys to compete with the giant. I think in our history, this is the best time that you can harness this technology at a cost-effective way to compete. So in a way, it is good. Internet is good for the smaller guys to compete with the bigger guys. So I think if you use it properly, you can actually use it to your advantage.
Use it properly, right? Now, if I may just dovetail that across to Aimi, right? What application would it be? You skimmed through a lot, really a lot about it, right? But essentially for businesses, what exactly, in your opinion, right, that can really get onto the internet and have it be used, aligned and benefit the businesses?
Okay, I think if you ask me what can be used, I mean the simple straight answer is everything.
Everything.
Okay, that is pretty much everything. But of course, I think what matters now is how SMEs, like I think Mr. Fong was saying, how can SMEs survive, with this disruptive technology. I think the first thing that SME need to try to do is try to not to confuse yourself with the technology buzz. I think that is very, very important.
Right.
Because you still need to focus on the business. What's more important is the business, whether you sell, you are retailers, whether you are distributors, whether you are manufacturers or whatever, or you are service provider, whatever. I think SME need to focus on its own business. Let the technology pass, let everything else about technology, be taken care by other people. I think that is the key thing that most SME need to be done, need to be clear. So which means that, all matters, for example, I think Resh talked about, the various ERP system and application for businesses, yeah. Leave that, to the expert, people who can actually do it. In the past, this is not possible, yeah. I think probably talking about 15 years ago, this is not possible. Because you still need to have perhaps at least one guy. If you are a business of 5 people or 10 people, you at least need one guy who knows about how to mingle around with the computer. But today, you don't need one. So I think that's pretty much the idea. So yeah, short answer, everything. That's my long answer. Sorry.
Everything. Yeah. Okay. In that case, let us get to something more specific. Maybe I can get Raj to elaborate a bit more, right? Even though you did touch about putting the business processes into it, or ERP allows a facilitation of business processes and such, right? Can you help elaborate a bit more? In this case, what does cloud ERP, or how does cloud ERP will be able to benefit SMEs or small businesses?
Yeah, I think cloud ERP helps you run your business more effectively. Small SMEs are very flexible, very fast-paced, and you want to focus on actually running your business. You don't want to have to think about how do I take advantage of technology, and basically the benefit that SMEs can get is let us do that for you, right? And if you look at something very specific, it's around how do we enable you, how do we help you run your businesses more effectively? How do we with our product, for example, how do we give you access to information that enables you to make decisions quicker? So again, the question I asked earlier was, think about, for you guys in the audience, think about what type of information are you getting from your business systems today? And what I see the benefits of moving to a cloud ERP product like NetSuite is, you're able to see your business and run your business in real time, and there's a huge advantage to be able to do that. Not having to guess, I think this is how my customers are looking, this is where my trends are going. You're actually making informed decisions on real business process. But even down to some of the more operational things, like if you've got systems, for example, you've got GST that's going to be implemented in Malaysia soon. For those of you with the on-premise systems, you have to now figure out, okay, how do I become compliant? I need to get some consultants in to come in and set up the system for me and print out the invoice and make sure everything calculates properly. If you're on cloud ERP, if you're on NetSuite, it's just going to happen overnight. It's just going to be, you don't have to do anything about it. It's just today you're running your business pre-GST. Tomorrow, when the GST is effective, your business is there running it for you. So, you're effectively outsourcing all of that detail, innovation, all of that process management to the experts, and you're not having to worry about that. You focus on running your business. That's the core. That's where your sweet spot is, and let us run your systems for you.
So what you just mentioned would include also the local regulatories. So in short, NetSuite can help facilitate the compliance towards the local regulatories.
Yeah, I mean, we comply with all the tax and regulatory reporting requirements across, pretty much all of the countries in Asia. So again, as you're expanding, right, you want to expand to China. How do I figure out what the Chinese reporting requirements are? I've got a thing called FAPIAO there. Hong Kong has its own regulatory requirements. Singapore does as well. And again, with NetSuite, if you want to expand to those countries, it's giving us a call saying, hey, I want additional subsidiaries in this particular country. And once it's turned on, you've got all the standard reports that's there ready to use, right? So you're just configuring the system and saying what kind of cost centers, what kind of users are you going to have. That's all it takes. Right.
And you did mention that, in one of your slides, the Gartner's report is saying the average ERP implementation costs about $5.5 million US. And I think that's one of the key things, right, that we always heard. ERP is always big, ugly, expensive, and always overrun.
Yeah.
Yet it's supposed to help business. But how is that going to happen? Now, if I go just straight in a little bit across, because I think a common topic that we have touched today, and I think I'm very interested, how internet as a technology can help us save costs, right? I just would like opinion from all three, but maybe, Reg, on your side, right, how is this different? How much would it be, if I may ask, a typical adoption of NetSuite to start, for business here? Yeah,
I mean, depending on, it really depends on, I mean, for us, it's our pricing is very flexible. It depends on how many users you have, how many modules you're going to use. But, for the smallest organization, you're talking about a few $1,000s a year that you can start off with from a subscription perspective. And, again, if you've got expertise yourself that can configure the system, that can do some of the customization, you don't pay for that. Okay. But we've got partners, for example, CBSA is a partner of ours, and you can visit them outside, who actually help give you advice and help set up that for you. So that there's a small one-time cost associated with that. But at the small end, our businesses are paying a few $1,000s a year. Depending on how big you are, how complex your business requirements are, how many countries you're running in, how many users you have, that can go up, scale up. So it's no longer about spending huge sums of money. It really is affordable, economical, and fast, right? You're seeing the benefits very quickly.
Okay, that seems easier to adopt, right? Not the millions of dollars.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. What about from Skali in Aimi, right? Perspective of that, you said everything can go to the cloud, right? If I may ask for the most simplest, maybe you can quote a few items, and how much would it cost in relation to if it's on a typical mode?
Okay, I guess first, for example, like to set up an infrastructure. I think that's a pretty much basic. I think the application will be taken care by people like Rash here. But let's say infrastructure, you need let's say you need to what do you call it, manage your own applications, but you need a place, you need a servers, you need to have a storage and things like that, and application as well as operating system. You can start with as low as perhaps depending on your requirement, like 30, 40 ringgit a month, to few hundred or even thousands of ringgit a month. So that is the kind of, for example, to give you an example, if you were to set up, let's say, a service that probably in a market that costs you, let's say, 30,000-40,000 ringgit, and which you need to continuously, say, what do you call it, upgrade the softwares and so on, even the servers over a period of time. Say 40,000 ringgit, rather than you spend 40,000 upfront, you'll probably be looking at what, 300 ringgit, 400 ringgit a month. Then that will come about what 3,000, 4,000 ringgit a year, kind of thing.
Wow.
And you don't even need to,
right.
invest that kind of money. So I mean, yeah. So those are the kind of comparison, and you don't have to worry about upgrading it. You don't have to worry about, basically almost everything. You don't have to worry about technology. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So typically, that's how it goes. Yeah. That's how easy it should be to adopt.
Yeah.
The technologies that you have.
Yeah, and it can happen in minutes. If you want to buy a service, for example, let's say 40,000 ringgit service, it probably take you weeks or even 1 week just to go and make the order, and then do the configuration and things like that. But on a cloud, you'll do it perhaps over 5-10 minutes. You go to the internet and configure it yourself. I want 500 gig of whatever. I want this much. I want this kind of system. Everything else, and the price will come immediately. If you agree with the price, you just subscribe and say yes, I want this. And it's done.
That sounds like me ordering. That sounds like me ordering pizza over the internet.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. What toppings do I want? What size and what goes with it on the site?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, what very important part about internet also is being used besides cloud, right? Besides being a service. Mr. Fong, you mentioned a lot about advertisements, reaching out, right? In fact, this is our topic today, isn't it? Global reach. Yeah. How does internet comes into play? For all of us who could be local, some of us could be regional, but how do we go global?
Yeah, these guys are more on the infrastructure and the software side. We are more on the advertising side, which we talk about leads generation. So basically, is what you do is actually you put your content on the internet, like what are your products and a description of your business, what's the values of your company, what your company contribute to the societies. So you need information. People need to know about you. So before people buy your product, so you need to put it in, I would say, on the cloud. Basically, you put it in a central location where it is in the cloud. Then using the internet technology, then you push it to many platforms, like you push it to Google, you push it to Alibaba, you can even push it to Facebook. So, but you need a central location to manage all your digital content. So, previously what you do is you have to print your leaflets, you have to print a lot of brochures and so on before you push it out to the targeted audience. Then you hope the leads will come back. So traditionally you have been doing that. But the more efficient way is you put it on the cloud, on the internet, then you push it to the right platforms. You put it everywhere that you think your audience are there. If you are more B2C, you go for, Facebook and Google. If you're more B2B kind of product, you go for PanPages and Alibaba. So it's where you want to put it, your content, information about yourself and your products. Then the leads will come from there.
Right. But continuing from there, Mr. Fong, right? How do the businesses out there know how best to segregate this kind of marketing? If let's say they have been, or we have been more conventional, we have always been printing brochures, we have been having, going to the streets and going after the businesses that we know or the areas that we know. How do we come on to the internet and know where to have this targeted marketing that you mentioned?
The number one question you should ask yourself is, who is your audience? Yeah, you must know who are you targeting, who are your audience, who are the people that you want to market your product. Once you define who's the audience, then you know where you should go. So because in internet there's actually layers, the internet is not flat. There are many layers of platforms that consist of the internet. So you have really serious business people looking for machineries, furnitures and stuff like that. People like Alibaba, PanPages. Then if you look for more B2C like, retail, fashions, food and all those, so you may go for Google and Facebook. So you must know your audience. Once you answer that particular question, you know your audience, then PanPages, we can guide you accordingly where to go, where to put your advertising dollar, and where you can find the potential customer. So you must know your audience.
Okay. Now, one question for all three, right? Maybe I'll get back to Reg first. How do we know actually when we subscribe to something on the net or on the cloud that it actually worked?
Yeah, I think part of what we do with any deployment is we spend time with our customers in understanding their business requirements. So a partner like CBSA here, for example, would typically engage with you initially instead of just saying here's a system, start using it. And as a business, I don't know if it's going to work or not. We'll spend time with you understanding what your business requirements are. What are some of the business challenges that you have? Whether it be I can't close my accounting period fast enough. I need to drive more automation. I need more access to real-time information. So we try to understand that first, and then build that into how we actually configure and set up the system. So part of it is understanding the business and tailoring the system, and it's very, very configurable to be able to tailor to a business's individual requirements. Okay. So that's one way in which we can, prove to you that this thing is going to work. Plus, you also spend time, end users will spend time evaluating the system before you, let's say, go live to make sure that it gives the expected result that you're looking for. If it's an invoicing process or if it's a purchasing process, you go through and make sure you've done due diligence to make sure that the system will work. It'll give you what you need. Even before you actually decide to buy the product, we'll spend time in demoing the system to you. We're just not going to show you, here's a generic demo, this is what you get. We spend time to learn about your business and show you how we can actually meet your specific requirements.
Right. So on the application side, really the key focus is about the alignment to the business, their needs and the processes.
Yes, absolutely.
What about from the infrastructure side, regardless of the technical team of SAS or PAS or IAS, but from the slightly more infrastructure side, how do I know the money that I paid, it actually worked?
Well, that's a topic of accounting actually. Probably need to address that from the accounts perspective. I guess it's just like any other business, yeah. Right. I think Mr. Fong mentioned just now about lead generation, and I think you just asked me about how cost effective it is. It's no different from the traditional business, I would say. I think at the end of the day, you need to assess. But I just give you a comparison just now. If naturally or normally you probably spend 30,000-40,000 for the infrastructure, well, a simple 3,000-4,000 ringgit a year definitely is much more cost effective, isn't it? And you don't have to worry about technology and so on. So I guess that's a simple plus minus thing. But I guess in general, what I'm trying to say is that doing business over the internet or using the technology actually is not much different from the traditional business. Even if you are a retail, you're providing retail products and services like that, it's still the same thing. For example, if you have a shop, what you need to do, you must make sure that your shop is in the right location. That's number one, correct or not? Yeah. And you must make sure that your what they call your billboard or whatever, your signboards is clear enough, strong enough for you to be able to allow people to make that conscious turn. Let's say if you get someone to actually drive along your shop and it makes that conscious turn to actually stop by your shop. So the same thing with the internet. You must be able to put location in the right place, like what Mr. Fong was saying just now. Either on PanPages or on Alibaba or whatever. That's the right thing. But the next challenge, just like any other business, is how do you make sure that people actually, what you want to do? You want people to buy, isn't it, your product, right? So in the traditional way, people make sure that your shop is well organized. You imagine going into a shop, which is not organized, berterabur, and then no lights, things like that. You think you'll go in? Definitely you will not go in. So that is why you need to have a website at least, yeah, and a good website. Okay, a good website, reasonably good. No need to have to be spending too much money. At least a good website. Then, depending on your target market. So once you have a good website, you can't just have pure kosong saja. You must have good contents. Right. So you want people to be able to stay there as long as possible, because the longer people stay in your shop, the higher possibility for them to buy. So you do not want people to go to your website, for example, and then go there, kosong, then blah. So that's why you put content. Sometimes the content may not be even directly related to your products, but so that's why you see, like for example, IKEA, they put a lot of things there. They put restaurants there, correct or not? So that when you feel hungry, you can have you have something to eat there.
Right.
Sometimes they even have a daycare. No, I talk too much, is it? 10 o'clock. Sorry, 10 minutes.
Right.
No, you have a daycare, so that when you go to IKEA, for example, if your kids make so much noise, send them to daycare so that I can spend more time and buy things. So websites, internet. So don't think it too buzzway, too much, technology.
But there is a train of thought. What Aimi have just shared means is there's a train of thought behind it. Adopting the cloud strategy. Now, I'm still very interested to know about targeted marketing that Mr. Fong have mentioned earlier, right? I'm going to still repeat the same question, but more towards targeted marketing. How do we know it works, right? If I have pamphlets, I know I distributed 5,000 out. I drop out in that streets, that area, the industrial zone, for example. But what about internet marketing? How do I know it worked?
I think the beauty about internet is everything can be tracked and measured. So the visits to your website, the people coming to click on your pages, they click on your product. If you use there's a tracking on the user, who are the demographic, who are the people coming to see, and so on. And if there also ability to track on the leads coming in, whether through emails, through message, through telephone calls. So there are a lot of devices that you can track. So the beauty about internet actually is where you put your money, the ROI can be measured very well in comparison to the more traditional way where you advertise whether on the brochures and so on. You don't really know where the leads come back from. So in internet, actually, their tracking is very clear and precise. So you know exactly where's your ROI.
Wow, okay. So we talk about demographics, that means you might not even be able to know who came in terms of the age group and such.
It depends. It depends on the ability of the platform to track the users. So that some platforms do that and some platforms they don't.
Okay, that is interesting. Now, I think probably one good questions that a lot of people would think about, right? We have heard about the difference between on-premise, that means we have our own server in our own office, versus cloud today, in very brief. But how is it going to be different in terms of response time? Maybe, Reg, if you don't mind having to share. How would it be different? Typically, if I've got an ERP sitting in my office within my environment versus this important business application of mine that my business depends, sitting in the cloud somewhere that I don't even know where it really work on.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a slow internet connection, your email is going to be slow. Your web access is going to be slow, and your cloud-based ERP system is going to be slow. So I think one of the important things is to make sure that you've got the right bandwidth. And for most of the markets in Asia, that's not a problem today. Right. We see some challenges in markets like I'd say Vietnam and Indonesia. But the good news is that infrastructure is continually improving, and so we're seeing less and less of a impact of just internet bandwidth constraining companies from adopting cloud. Having said that, if you look at our product, we've architectured our product from the ground up to be built on the internet, and so the way that we've designed processes and the way that we've designed how transactions work, for example, is to take advantage of the way of how that's going to work on the internet. So we're actually engineered to make sure that we're maximizing performance over a internet connection. Right. So that's one thing. The second thing is that we're continually optimizing as well to meet your needs. So some businesses, for example, will need to scale up their volumes, and over time they're going to find that they're running more and more transactions in a day. And so we also have the ability to provide additional services for a company to even further maximize their performance. Whether it's whether they are on a dedicated sort of infrastructure so that they can get even more speed, or that we help them redesign certain processes to get advantage of that. So we're continually working with that. I think we've been doing this for 18 years or 17 years, and we really have more than 20,000 customers who are actually running their mission-critical businesses applications on the internet. So our customers don't come to us, and when we talk about what are the challenges, they tell us, well, I want this new feature, I want that new feature. They're not really telling us that we're actually not able to run our business on the cloud. So we're not hearing that from customers, but there always is, we always get asked a question of, well, if it's on the internet, how fast is it going to be? Is it going to slow me down? I would say that again, as a customer of NetSuite for 4 years, is our business was able to run fine, response times are fine. NetSuite actually guarantees a 99.5% availability, so you can have a great on-premise system, which you can maybe have running faster than a web-based system, but how sure are you that it's going to give you the assurance that it's going to be up and running all of the time, right? And so that, again, all of that comes to us. So we're able to address that with customers in terms of the inherent design of the system, the options we have for certain customers as they scale up their volumes to make sure that they're able to keep up with that infrastructure, and then finally from just the resources we have to ensuring uptime. And guaranteeing that for our customers.
Okay, thank you. So there we have it, right? The understanding on the fact that cloud is secure, cloud is here today, is real. Is it really something that we can depend on? The answer is definitely yes, but we have to understand that from application perspective, it can be architecturally designed from ground up to respond well to what business require. Infrastructure perspective, right, from Aimi, we have what it takes to make sure that it's available. Now, of course, on the targeted marketing side or advertisements, we also have different ways to measure the success of it. Now, I would like now to open up to the floor and maybe take 3 questions from the audience for our panelists here. Right. I've got a gentleman here with a question.
Hi, my name is El Chan. Okay, my question is, how do you prevent the cloud from being hacked? Because hacking is very common these days. And where you put your cloud computing can be Cyberjaya or in US or anything, Once it's hacked, is there a way to retrieve back the data? And do you actually liable to pay back to your clients for what the information lost? And what is the amount, maximum amount that you are able to pay back to clients? Because clients' information comes out to millions and millions of dollars, because anything leaked out to the competition, or for example, you're saying the celebrities' photos are leaked out. What happened, Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. L, right? L Chan, right? I think there's 3 questions there. What if it's hacked? Would it be lost? Can it be recovered? That's question number 2. And what about the damages that can be done, right? Now, maybe I'll start with Aimi.
I think I mentioned it just now. When it comes to internet security, it probably take another 2 hours just to talk about it. But, okay, just to simplify it, yeah. I think just like any other, this is actually a very much what we call service-based. So service-based is just like any other service-based. You have a menu. So meaning that in most provider like ourselves, infrastructure provider, right? There's a menu to it. If you want a basic service, this is how much you pay. You want a bit more, then you pay this much. You want secured, you pay this much. You want super secure, you pay this much. So of course, at every level, there's a level of what they call it service level agreement. Not say agreement, service level that we provide in general for public, what they call public cloud. Of course, for private cloud, we are more strict on that manner. We will actually guarantee what they call it, the security of it and things like that. But on a public cloud environment, because it is a shared environment, so there's a certain level of security, certain level of what they call it, disclaimer that we actually do provide. Yeah, this is actually almost quite generic across the board anywhere around the world when it comes to cloud. So answering your question, first of all, can that happen? Yes, if you provide, if you take up a very basic service, that can happen. Even Facebook got hacked. Even anything else, do be able to be hacked. But of course, you go into enterprise. then people will provide you a better, much more secured environment services. Then in that case they will achieve guarantee lah. Anything happens, something held, then we'll pay back. All those can be done. In fact, that will be sometimes on a one-to-one basis in a company that you actually subscribe to.
Right.
Yeah.
In the agreement, that is right.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Reg, would you like to comment on NetSuites? And
Yeah, sure. I mean, that constantly comes up as a question. I mean, our whole business model is built around securely storing companies' sensitive information, business critical information. First of all, we've got an infrastructure that manages risk as well. So, we've got your data hosted on multiple servers. So, if you do need to recover data, if you've corrupted your data, we can restore from another location. So that's one. We also have a number of assurances and guarantees that we provide to customer about the trust they put on us, and that's that's part of the commercial agreement we get into. But also, beyond that, our product complies with all of the latest sort of security requirements. We have the chief security officer whose job 100% of the time is just to manage security. It's a backbone of what we do. So, and we've got the two-factor authentication. So there's a lot of inbuilt security tools on the system that give our customers a lot of confidence that they can actually entrust their data to us. At the same time, we spend a lot of time educating our customers around, that's kind of what we do and where we have our responsibility. But from a customer's perspective as well, you got to make sure that you're managing access to the system controls, all of that has to be quite good as well, because we can provide all the security in the world, but if someone shares their password to someone unauthorized, they've got access to the system. So there's ways in which we're working with our customers as well to make sure that they are doing things to keep their system secure. The other question that comes up is, well, cloud is not secure. When I have my own server in-house, it's secure. And the analogy that I've heard that I want to tell you guys about today is, think of all of the laptops that your employees are using kind of scattered around everywhere. You've got mission critical company business information on there as well that can be, anyone can kind of take that and run with that. And with the cloud, if you think about it, you're not actually storing information on laptops. You're constantly running all of your business online. So if you do lose a laptop, you've not lost any confidential information, because you're storing all of your information on the cloud. So there's a lot of unique benefits of being on the cloud that actually make it much more stronger from a security perspective and risk management perspective.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm Edwin from Mobile Commerce Association. I represent an NGO. So this question is to Aimi Aiza. So currently, talking about the cloud computing, it depends a lot on internet speed. So as all of us know, Unify, we pay for 150 ringgit for 5 meg. In Singapore, 1,000 meg is 150 ringgit. So it's 20 times more faster than us. So, Aimi, what can we do to get government to help us on this? Second question is, talk about price competitiveness. So the top 3 cloud computing service provider is Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. So how can Skali help us on this also? Thank you.
What's the question again, Edwin?
The price competitiveness.
Okay. Against Amazon,
Google,
and
Microsoft.
Right.
How can Skali help to lower down the cost of cloud computing?
For us here in Malaysia.
Thank you. Yes.
Right.
He doesn't want me to answer. No.
Thank you, Edwin.
I thought he doesn't want me to answer. No, first of all, Mr. Edwin, right?
Edwin.
I do not know how to answer your first question, seriously. Because I can't talk, I can speak on behalf of the government. I think you, being an NGO, I think me personally has been going out in the market, fighting for this over the past 15, 18 years anyway. Since the day when MST started in Malaysia, I think we've been doing that, among all the, some of these people, in fact, here are some of my friends, they know me, we know each other. We've been doing this over and over years. But I wouldn't say that the government has not done anything at all. There are quite a number of... Is that my phone?
Government is calling.
You see, I still have the Nokia old one, you know, that's how bad it is. How bad I am. I have the smartphone and the BlackBerry. Three phones.
The Nokia phone you charge once every 3 days.
Yes. That's why I like it very much. Which my children doesn't even know whether, you know, when you say Nokia, they don't even know the brand Nokia.
Okay, so back to the question.
So ask the question, sorry. So first of all, I can't answer you, but I can tell you that yes, the government does do a lot of, you know, in fact, sitting in some of the board and under the MDEC, and also where people like Telecom Malaysia are also part of it. They are working on quite a number of initiative to be able to address this issue. I think one of it is actually the Digital Malaysia, you know, one of the Digital Malaysia initiative which is done by MDEC. We also know there's the various, the telecom initiative where they are actually, you know, wiring it up the entire Malaysia to increase the bandwidth, you know. But like I say, you know, I can't really speak on behalf of the government in that manner. But the second question is, how can Skali help to be able to become more cost competitive? Okay, that actually the question that I also asked. In fact, when I first came this morning, some of the people that I talked to say, actually, you know, how come it's so expensive in Malaysia? Actually, that's why I said, maybe when they are comparing, they are not comparing apple to apple. That's number one. Yeah? But I think today in Malaysia, we are talking about like Amazon, Google, you know, and so on. Malaysian products and services are quite, you know, I would say, you know, cost competitive and almost the same as the international prices as well. So if you're talking about, like, for example, infrastructure as a service, you know, let's say you can go as low as 20, 30 ringgit. That's what? Wow. $3 a month, you know, how much more competitive can you be? Yeah? So probably, you know, they may not be comparing. So normally what we do was, you know, what we do is actually we sit down with them, you know, we work together, you know, and we can work on that. Of course, the best way is actually to subscribe everything on net. But I think Malaysians, being Malaysian, they still need to be able to talk, you know, to a person face to face. Yeah. So I think that's probably some of the things that we can do. I hope that answered my question. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Right, one more from the floor.
Thank you. My name is Ghazali Rizwan. I'm a web consultant. I work with a number of clients who prefer to remain on-premise. How do we convince these people? I mean, because they have invested a lot on their infrastructure. How do we convince these people to move to the cloud? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghazali. Your question will be directed to the whole panel?
Anyone?
All right.
Yeah, I can take that. I mean, I would say that a lot of companies, large companies, have invested quite heavily in on-premise, and probably they're not ready for cloud yet, and I think that's fine. You know, you're not necessarily going to go in and convince them to, you know, throw away a lot of money that they've spent to go on the cloud just for the sake of getting that. You know, so a lot of companies we talk to are running on cloud, on-premise systems. And you know what, that's fine, but what we engage them on is what are some of the pain points in the business that cloud may be able to manage. So we're not necessarily saying to companies who already have an on-premise system, you know, throw everything out, get rid of your investment, go with cloud, right? And with a company like that, the discussion to have is what are some of the challenges you have? And it might be that they're having problems in getting real-time business visibility, business intelligence they may not be able to get. They may have a challenge in running their e-commerce presence, maybe B2B or B2C. Planning or budgeting may not be very effective. They might have a business unit, or they might say, you know what, we're actually expanding and we're going into new markets and we don't necessarily want to you know, invest in on-premise. And what we talk to them about is a two-tier model, right? So you can keep your on-premise system, but you know, for a particular part of your business or for a particular function, get your feet dirty by trying the cloud, right? Lower risk, relatively low cost, and see what that experience is. And then when it comes a few years later, when you've written off your investment, when you're facing another huge bill to upgrade to the latest version, you know, that's when you might want to switch your business over to cloud. So it really is that type of discussion that we have. And it's not just about throwing everything away, moving to cloud. There's lots of different adoption models of the cloud as well.